Well, good
Yeah.
evening. Welcome to Roll to Heal Table Talk. I'm your host, Mike. I have Chris and Tommy joining me, and Lenny will be joining us in a brief moment. He had to take care of a couple things. Um, Corey and Max are not with us tonight. They had things going on, so Chris decided to jump in and uh, run the show with me tonight. Tommy is our guest DM, and he is going to introduce us to Delta Green. And he will also be running our one shot next week. Tommy is part of another Twitch channel called Frontline Fiction. He is the person who helped run the stream during Veterans Day and raised awareness for Roll to Heal, as well as some donations. So, again, we can't say enough how much we appreciate Tommy's contribution to the cause, and we're excited to have him here. How you doing, Tommy?
I'm great, Mike. Thanks for the opportunity to come on here and to pontificate about Delta Green. I've been super excited about this since we've got it started, and just so much leading up to this. There's a lot of excitement about Delta Green and talking about this. But what you said, I mean, just everything that we've done the past couple months leading up to it today, it's been kind of like full circle. Man, we've accomplished a lot in the past couple months. You guys
Absolutely.
have, we have on that Frontline Fiction. We have together. I mean that that fundraiser was magical for us. I can't speak to how much it meant for us to be able to do that and to be able to get that to be able to do that and then and just the opportunity that you guys have given me to to be part of y'all's organization, to be a part of y'all's family, right? And to do this tonight. I'm super fired up, man. So fired up. Let's go.
I'm
Chef
excited to
Paul,
learn about it for sure.
Chef Paul's saying he can confirm you're an okay guy.
But yeah, so Delta Green is basically what we're running here tonight. Lenny's going to be joining us. Lenny was a little bit about Lenny. Lenny was on our Veterans Day stream. If you go back and check out that awesome scenario, we had fun, but it was there was a storm, there was a snowstorm on that day, and it kind of it just it is what it is. So happy to get him involved here, and so had that, and then of course we've got this going on. Delta Green and what it is to me. I It is hands down the best game for when it comes to like forging legends and mending souls, like going back to y'all's motto, our motto. I feel like there's a certain mechanic, there's a certain dichotomy here in the Delta Green role playing game that when latched onto appropriately and responsibly can lend itself to some serious healing and getting camaraderie around a table. And I think that Delta Green does it in a way uh, that offers an experience that you can't get with any other role playing game.
Okay.
Not to say it's better because of this. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when it comes to healing, especially for our demographic, veterans, first responders, there's a reason this game. There's a reason everybody's like, "Oh, Legends are good. He's good at running Delta Green." I've run a ton of Pathfinder, y'all. You don't hear players like, "Hey, Legend, run Pathfinder." Like that doesn't happen very often. We'll kick it and have fun, right? but it's for me, it's almost always been like, "Man, run Delta Green." Why? Because there's an element, you're playing veterans, you're playing first responders, you're playing healthcare professionals. You're playing these people, you're playing prototypes and archetypes that we know in the real world already. And when I start trying to work in those immersive real world threads, those in the case of a certain Debt and Blood episode, a PowerPoint clicker sound.
Okay.
That shit's the realism behind it, the real world analog to it. I love a good dungeon crawl. That's what Mike actually had to tell Chris and I to stop talking about dungeon mechanics before going live. Like I love it, right? But nothing when it comes to healing touches the potential that Delta Green has when it for role playing around the table. And aside from having fun, I hope to kind of hit on some of that tonight.
Awesome. Well, it looks like Lenny's joined us. Welcome, Lenny. Glad to have you here.
Hi. Good. Glad to be here. Thank you. Sorry for being late.
Oh, you're good, man. We get it. Life happens. Yeah. So Chef Paul says in chat, he says that if he feels like it addresses the reality of trauma in a way that no other game does. What do you think about that, Tommy?
It feels like that's a tough answer. That's a tough question to answer, especially coming from Chef Paul, just because Chef Paul and I's vision of Delta Green are so they're just so interlocked. But I agree with him. It does. When it comes down to a good session zero, which is in a large part what we're doing here tonight. Player safeties, especially when you're dealing with horror.
Absolutely.
We're playing a powerlessness fantasy. Player safety is kind of easy with Delta Green because if you're coming to play Delta Green, it's almost kind of implied that you're coming here for a reason. With that, as a GM, there's still a responsibility to do our due diligence and keep the table safe. You know, I mean, just because you're playing a game that encourages horror and all sorts of fucked up shit doesn't mean it's a ticket to play with your players' minds or anything like that. You still have that responsibility, but when done responsibly and when in conjunction with your players, I mean, you again, you're playing in the real world. I can describe that fantasy tavern to you where, you know, the dishes are being washed by themselves, right? That rag that you can almost smell it, right? It really needs to be washed. It's dirty, but it's just washing that plate, right? Oh, missed the spot. Went back for it. Good rag, right? All right, right. Fantasy tavern, awesome. Or, you know, you're you just left your office and you realized, oh shit, I didn't fill up my gas tank. I've got to get some gas on the way home. I'm almost on E, and it's in that gas station parking lot that a dead drop happens, and lo and behold, you just got activated for a Delta Green operation. There's no magic to it, right? But can you feel that gas pump? Can I, as you know, for me as a handler playing to my strengths, can I convey that gas pump handle easier than that magical rag? For me as a game runner, yes, I can, and I've just learned to try to lean into that and to bring the setting alive.
Okay.
To Chef Paul's point, it's in that I feel like I'm able to draw that out.
Okay. Now, when you say handler, would that be the equivalent of a GM?
Indeed, yes. So some, I mean, a GM, DM, handler, keeper, Delta Green and Call of Cthulhu share a history, and we can kind of talk to some of that. My dates and names and everything isn't exactly spot on, but I can get the point across. But they do have they have a shared history, and ultimately, you've got the lore keeper in Call of Cthulhu, or the keeper of lore, and then in Delta Green, the game runner, the game master, is called the handler.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, let's start diving into what is Delta Green.
So straight out of the Agent's Handbook, which this is on page 7 of the Agent's Handbook, Mike. If you want to switch to that on your screen, you do have the need to know pulled up right now.
All right. I'll pull up
But
that.
straight out of the Agent's Handbook for Delta Green, ask any two Delta Green agents, what is Delta Green? And you'll get two very different answers. It's an enigma. Its missions require concealing itself from the public, from the rest of the US government, and even sometimes from its own agents. It is likely that even a veteran agent has met fewer than 5 Delta Green operatives. That's it. 5. There's no cubicles, no secret bases, no newsletters or official publications, no badges or letterhead. Details about leadership are off limits. There's no headquarters. It's all shrouded in darkness. It's all there to breed uncertainty. And as there's even there's Delta Green community is amazing. Uh, the fan based community is top notch, and a part of that community is you start to share a common world lore where a lot of the players that you're playing with, like they know the lore, but nothing is sweeter than playing Delta Green with players that are ignorant of that lore, and like, don't touch it, just let it come to you naturally. It's so beautifully written over decades. Delta Green starts in 1943 and runs through present day, and leaves you no shortage of opportunities to run like a post-apocalyptic scenario if you wanted to. It's a powerlessness fantasy. As Vince Kaufman, he was one of our. We interviewed him on Behind the Screen with Frontline Fiction. He said it's a powerlessness fantasy. You take Delta Green, flip it on its head, or blow it up with TNT. It's a power fantasy. It's about leveling up your character, min-maxing that dungeon crawl, maximizing your fucking 6 seconds, right? No, not with Delta Green. No. Welcome to the chaos.
Yeah,
When
that's... Go
when
ahead,
was
Chris.
Delta Green created? Do you know?
Oh, dates and years I'm not 100% certain on, but it started with Call of Cthulhu. Matter of fact, the scenario that we're gonna run next week was one of the original Delta Green scenarios that was written it was basically written under Call of Cthulhu rules. And then at some point, in all of that, some people broke off from Chaosiism and took deltagreen and pretty much made it its own thing. That scenario has been rewritten as of 2 years ago, I think. 2-3 years ago, fairly recently, and kind of brought in line with the new rule set and the setting as it's evolved. But that's it, yeah. A lot of it is it starts going back to Call of Cthulhu.
I just pulled this up real quick, and it said that the first full source book was published and released in 1997, and I guess there's an update in 2016. Is that correct?
That sound those dates line up. So the scenario that we're gonna run next week is called PX Poker Night. I'm looking at the original scenario right now. It's written by hands. Man, I say hands down. I don't know. It's really tough. You've got some amazing writers at Arc Dream. So PX Poker Night was written by Dennis Detweiler, the same author of Impossible Landscapes, another deltagreen scenario, and Adam Scott Glancy. 2002 is the date on this. And then if I pull up their newest scenario, what we got, that'd be 2020. So yeah, those dates all line up.
Yeah, so on the Wikipedia for Deltagreen, it says it originated in 1992 as a setting for Call of Cthulhu, created by Adam Scott Glancy, Dennis Detweiler, and John Scott Tynes, aka the Deltagreen Partnership of the Seattle Gaming House and Pagan Publishing. In 2016, the Agent's Handbook was released, followed by the Handler's Guide in 2018, giving the game its first standalone rulebook.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so these names that we're talking about, Dennis Detweiler is a huge name. A lot of a huge inspiration for me getting into deltagreen. First campaign I ran and completed was Impossible Landscapes, and he was the author of that. He's got a Patreon. He's real, again, the community is small, and because of that, it's awesome. I can. I mean, it's a Patreon membership. Sure, it's cheap. It's like pay what you want, $2. Cool. I'm in a Patreon with Dennis Detweiler, and I can ask him about Impossible Landscapes. It's that accessible. He was responsive. Uh, Amazing stuff. You mentioned Adam Scott Glancy. Adam Scott Glancy's the author of the Iconoclast campaign that we're running through A Debt in Blood at Frontline Fiction Studios. It's amazing stuff.
Nice.
But
Now, Chris, have you ever played Chris or Lenny? I know Lenny, you ran a little bit in Frontline Fiction's one shot. But outside of that, have either of you played Deltagreen?
No.
Nope. I've played Call of Cthulhu, but not Deltagreen.
Oh,
Okay.
I haven't even played Call of Cthulhu yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I've played,
I'm
I don't know,
same way.
5 or 6. Well, not, I guess 5 or 6 one shots of Call of Cthulhu. It was never like a campaign, but
mechanically, the games are. I would equivocate it to like comparing Pathfinder 1E and D&D 3.5. They're so there's some. There are differences. I mean, and some of them are very significant. Don't get me wrong and trying to say like they're the same game. Like they are not. But they're very easy to transition between. I could easily just pick up a Call of Cthulhu, and of course, I say this like knowing deltagreen and being familiar with it. I could pick up a Call of Cthulhu scenario and easily translate it with very little prep to a deltagreen scenario. Obviously, I mean, I've got the hindsight of some experience in the system, but it's nothing. They're not written anything like your traditional Delta or your traditional Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinders and stuff like that. They're almost meant to encourage you to go off the rails, right? Again, not all D&D games are like that either, so I don't want to assume a game style.
I know you guys use, or when I've watched you play, you use, I think you're using Foundry or some type of a VTT system. And I know, like in my experience with Call of Cthulhu, it was a lot of theater of the mind. Is it tough to do a lot of VTT with Delta Green, or is there a lot of
No.
resources to be used with it, or?
No, there's you can. For example, Chef Paul ran an amazing scenario for us called Clay Over Stone a couple weeks, and the entire scenario was on a battle map with lighting. We were going through rounds, and is it was it different for deltagreen? I wouldn't say it was different. It's not as common as you would see in other games, but you can do it like you could with any. If anything, it simplifies it. I could run. I like to use Foundry to run our deltagreen games. It does a lot for immersion and for sharing of resources and just kind of giving you that common hub. Foundry is amazing. One of the things, a lot of VTTs have a learning curve though, and let's just say, for my experience, the two games I'm most familiar with: Pathfinder Second Edition and Deltagreen. Pathfinder Second Edition and Foundry's a beast. You need some skills to be able to manage that. There's a lot going on with your grid-based round-by-round combat, and you're still doing your NPCs and managing the initiative tracker and all this. Deltagreen, it's simplified. I can run it theater of the mind. I like to use Foundry as an additional resource. My gaming style, and this isn't just Deltagreen. It's kind of my geoming style. Able to run a game, I don't need a map. I just give me a narrative, give me a story to tell, and we'll work the immersion in with the tools that we have at our disposal. If that's a napkin, cool. We'll bust out a napkin and we'll do it that way. If it's Foundry and a couple of laptops, throw up a VTT and get some background music going too. I mean, like, that's great. But you don't need much. I like to keep it to what my players and I have agreed to during our session 0. I don't. But you can go either way with it, Chris. It's
Do
the
they
beauty of
have
it.
like 3D terrain and miniatures and stuff for Delta Green?
It would be as easy as probably well before Dungeons and Dragons did. You heard of Google Maps? I've used Google Maps and satellite images for many scenarios, Chris. I know that's not exactly what you're talking about, but there many times I've used Google Earth. Screenshot, boom. There's my one map that I need for this Deltagreen scenario. Throwing it in a Discord server. I don't need Foundry to run this scenario. Just give me a place where I can share a couple of pictures, and it can be done. There's also plenty of resources out there for maps. There's a good map of like a storage unit, of a coffee diner. Cthulhu Maps, I think is what it's called. There's some battle map resources out there for the system as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. Is like, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
It's it's very similar to that, Mike. So you think what is it called in Vampire? The Masquerade, right? It's like this veil over humanity that keeps everything obscured, right? That's so in the world of Delta Green, that's Delta Green's purpose is Delta Green is the masquerade. They are what keeps everything. They're what keeps Nyarlathotep and Cthulhu and Azathoth, the King in Yellow. Like Delta Green is what keeps those forces at bay. Like the masquerade keeps humanity at bay from discovering what's really out there.
On the front line against the freaky.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I guess what I was asking was like from an immersion standpoint at the table, if you're running in person at the table, and I looked it up here and found it like you can still use like My Mini Factory Thingiverse, like all of those, and actually print out like miniatures and all that stuff to have that at the table too if you wanted it. So I was thinking from like
you could.
yeah, but that's the only
You
reason I
know, I
ask is because
will.
I'm thinking about like if I was to actually DM something like this or run it as the you said as a keeper, I love having like the immersive tools. That's just the way I like to run things at my tables, and so um, if I can find like and I don't care about like personally, you know, for me, I don't care like what I put into it cost wise, whatever, to get that, just because that's what I enjoy using. So, but yeah, I was looking at it and they said you can use like sci-fi stuff, you can use modern day stuff, you can use I guess there's a lot of different instances that you could use just depending on the scenario, I guess.
Yeah, you get a good 3D printer operator, and I bet you like, man, all the tentacles. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, and kind of, I mean, we've still got so much to unpack on the actual Delta Green standpoint, but again, that's I love a fantasy setting, but I love a good modern setting, and I just don't think anybody can touch it the way that Arc Dream's done it with Delta Green. Uh, we got
My
a
mic
muted
was
mic
muted.
for some reason. I don't know who this is. Okay, cool, we good.
You guys should be able to hear me now. But I was just reading Chef Paul's comment about how he changed the setting from the city in the scenario to another one, and the comment of it being, "Oh, I grew up in that city."
Yeah, and it's really just about every Delta Green scenario is written to be, you know, hey, you can. This scenario is written to take place in Nebraska, but it could be reasonably. It could take place at any podunk 1998 rundown Air Force base. This scenario, I would say, this scenario is pretty dependent on the location. But no, you'll get that way. Hey, this happens in Chicago, but it could happen in any big city, and that's really what I love it about Detweilers and Glancy's and Tynes. Their writing, it makes the way that they write their scenarios makes improvisation easy.
Okay. Well, one of the big things we stress, with Roll to Heal is the session zero and the need for it to being important and making sure that it's being done correctly. And what are some of the concerns that a player might have when it comes to Delta Green?
What is we kind of there it is. It's a horror game, and it leans into it. That needs to be understood, and I would challenge handlers to make sure that you're. I don't want to say what's the word I'm looking for? Do your due diligence. Just because your players signed up for a Delta Green game, don't just assume that they're okay with it. And by way of answering this question, Mike, may I explain a little bit about the world of Delta Green?
Yeah, go for it.
Be a very long-winded answer, if you'll allow it. Delta Green is ultimately. It depends on the era. It's a covert group inside the United States federal government. Its mission is to investigate, contain, and conceal unnatural events. Because to anybody who knows what Delta Green is, the unnatural is real and it kills. The world of Delta Green is like our own, but beyond the edges of reality, where the powers that outstrip the human mind's capacity for understanding. Sometimes those powers bleed through into our little narcissistic, can't see past our own noses and our own selfishness. Sometimes those powers bleed through and help us see that beyond your world, we're just going to destroy everything else that we touch. Agents of Delta Green have limited knowledge of these forces. So going into these games, you're going into the unquestionable. You're leaning into the madness. If you're an agent, it's likely you have experienced the unnatural at least once in some regard, and that one experience with the unnatural warped your worldview, and now you're a Delta Green agent. That warped worldview comes with the membership. It's like a cancer of the mind. It spreads, and the game works best when players lean into that, Mike. So to do that, you just got to be able to have that. You got to be able to have the conversation naturally during session zero. You can't shy away from the horror of the game. And I have found and I say this overwhelmingly, when it comes to player safety, between all the systems that I've run, the game I have the least trouble out of is Delta Green.
Okay.
By and far, when I list a game properly, the players know what they're signing up for, and that conversation is usually very easy, very needed. Again, depending on the scenario, there are certain, you need to check boxes because things come up, and it is something that honestly that's probably the most stressful thing about it is anything could come up, and how easy it could be to if I let my guard down as a GM, it could happen. That is there with this game. It's a responsibility that I wouldn't place on a GM lightly.
Is so like we talked about the deck of player safety a lot previously, and like using
Mhm.
that in a lot of our different game systems. Is there any concern of using that would interrupt the ability to actually run a game? Like if
No,
somebody picks
no,
something out of it.
I think the
Okay.
deck of player safety would be an excellent tool for this game, right? It's at the table, especially at a in-person table. It's right there. It's in front of everybody. It's present. You can reach out and touch it. It's a good reminder of hey, we're playing a game that leans into the horror, and these are guide rails. I think the deck of player safety would be a great tool for this game. Now, so that being said, I like to do a little bit of the deck of player safety is at the table. Uh, a lot of Delta Green scenarios would require a handler to have some knowledge of player safety in advance. In a perfect world, handler perspective, right? Handler perspective, running a Delta Green game, I don't want to show up to a table and now I'm learning what my player preferences or player
Sure,
safety preferences are.
that makes sense.
While it would still be good, I personally, as a handler, I'd like to have some of that knowledge a little bit in advance, just to be able to prepare the session accordingly. Leave out certain aspects, alter certain aspects, whatever the player safety demanded, if that makes sense.
I guess the
Yeah.
reason I ask is like thinking of games, and we've talked about this in some of the, like when we were going to Boston, some of those like Twilight 2000. There would be certain points of Twilight 2000 where you wouldn't be able to run the game if certain aspects were pulled out of it, right? Like if the players said, "I don't want this to happen in the game," it would almost be like, then maybe this isn't the right game for you. So that's why I was asking, was like, would there be scenarios where you wouldn't be able to actually run the game if a player said, "These are things I don't want to experience"?
Yes.
Okay,
And in my experience, that line it's pretty easy to find with the game. If you're doing it right, if you're using the tools, whether it's deck of player safety or form, if you're using the tools right, that line is usually, I mean, it's pretty like, oh, you're not for this. You might not be for this scenario, or yeah, you might not be for this game. At least not the way that I run it, right?
sure.
Uh Again, not all Delta Green has to, it's kind of going back to Lenny. Me and you talked the other day, right?
Mhm.
I've got two main modes when it comes to Delta Green. One of a podcast that inspired one facet of play is called Pretending to Be People. Uh, they're kind of pulpy, right? They're goofy with it. They have fun with it. There's still some horror to it, but it's fun. It's almost comedic. And I would say that our Veterans Day stream game kind of fell into that vein. A little goofy, pulpy, fun, still horrific, and still horror, still serious, but
Yeah,
and
multi-dimensional.
yeah, flip that on its head. Take something like Iconoclast in our Debt and Blood podcast. That is not pulpy. That is ground. It's meant, at least it's meant to be. It's what we're going for. We're going for grounded, real, immersive. You can feel it, and of course, we're at anybody that listens to it hasn't heard that yet because we're not there yet. Bear with us. But a lot of that's kind of the two modes in which I view this game system. And and again, that kind of comes out in session zero. For what I view our game on Sunday, I'm leaning grounded, real horror. I think that's true Delta Green, and that's what I want to put forward here, for you guys, for Art Dream, for the hobby. I think that's the most, for me, I think that's the truest sense of deltagreen. But again, just as speaking to like, there's no right way to play any one game, right? There's never a right way. What's right for your table is the right way. I'm leaning grounded and kind of immersive and real for next week.
Okay.
We're going. This is classic deltagreen. The scenario that we've picked for next week.
Okay. Awesome. So the game system itself, you mentioned that it's kind of like D&D 3.5, Pathfinder 1. How is there a huge variation in that, or is it pretty close?
So when I made that correlation, I was trying to draw a parallel in the comparison between D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder 1e, and that they are very similar but very different when it comes to deltagreen and those systems. They are so I will not describe deltagreen as a rules light game. There are rules light games out there. The Witch is Dead, which Chef Paul runs. Amazing. That's a 1-page game system. That's rules light. Shadow Dark is rules light. Deltagreen isn't rule. It's not rules light. It's rules intuitive. The rules are so intuitive that they're real. Nice RPG consent checklist. I see it.
Yeah.
It's intuitive. It's a 1D100 system compared to the 1D20 system. So you're rolling. Rolls happen a lot less. And again, this is subject to handler and table preference, but as written in deltagreen, what's the best way for me to convey this? I've got my handler screen pulled up here. First panel I'm looking at says when to roll dice. Don't roll dice. If things are calm and under control with the story, no dice are needed. If it's calm, we're in narrative mode. 1D 100 skill. So think it's the same as think of a skill on a scale of 1 to 10. If I've got 20% in a skill, I have a little bit of training in that skill. And I'm a hobbyist. I can attempt it. If I have 30% in that skill, I've got basic training with it. And I can maybe the equivalent of some college. And it continues to go up. 40, right? I've got years of experience with it. 60 decades. 80% in a skill, again on a 1 to D100 scale, represents a lifetime's mastery in that skill. So when do you roll dice? When an outcome matters. You'll listen. I'm intentionally I'm trying to not mention a debt and blood a million times. This is but comes up, and I know Chef Paul's in the chat here, but listen to how many times he hangs himself with a roll. It's again speaking to the beauty of the game. He's leaning into the madness, and again, when done cohesively, it creates for magic. Simply put, because you start. Chef Paul says guilty in chat because he knows it, right? And again, as speaking to the beauty of the game and a cohesive group that really makes it cook. But hey, I'm feeling a certain way that this game's brought up a traumatic moment. I'm feeling a certain way, and I'm feeling safe with it. I know my handler's got my back. I'm gonna lean into it a little bit. Hey, can I roll this? I want to see what happens. Cool. We resolve that. Sometimes it's no. There's not a roll here needed. I like to keep my rolls. If what's the consequence if you fail? If I can't answer that question in a Delta Green game, then you don't need to roll it. If there's no consequence for the failed roll, it's a success. It might take some time for you to do it. That's what a lot of those, hey, can I roll this rolls come in. It's like, okay, like, yeah, you're gonna be able to do this, but time is a resource in all games, right? However you make it into a mechanic, time is always a resource, and with time comes tension, and that's where Delta Green and you build that tension. Yeah, sure, you can roll that. It's a success. Yeah, cool. It was a failure. That should have taken you 10 minutes. It took you an hour.
So
Yeah,
it's more about keeping the roles meaningful and not just to do it just to do it.
Exactly.
You may roll less, but the rolls are definitely more impactful.
Okay.
I think
It
that's
seemed to me,
I think that's
so
the
one time
spirit
I
of the. I think that's within the spirit of the system. Yeah.
So this is two questions. One, to go back to the comparison earlier you asked about, Mike. I think when you brought up the difference or the comparison of D&D 1, like first edition, and Pathfinder, or Pathfinder 1 and 3.5, is that what you're saying? And I think what you're doing is the relative difference between Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green, right? Is what you're saying?
On that top,
When
yeah.
we
When we were talking about that comparison,
yeah.
that's what we were
So
going.
not
The
game
comparison
mechanics, but the comparison between those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my second question to that is then, only because I've never played Delta Green, but I have played Call of Cthulhu. It sounds like it's the same percentile system that you're rolling. So it's a D100, and is it, if I remember right, you want to roll, in some instances you want to roll low, and in some instances you want to roll high, correct? Just depending on what the outcome of that roll is going to be.
That is so what you're hitting on when it comes to the differences between Delta Green and Call of Cthulhu. There are a couple of caveats where those are some of the big differences, is when you want to roll high and when you want to roll low. Generally speaking, in Delta Green, you want to roll low.
Okay.
Generally speaking, there's I think Delta Green has a couple. I think Call of Cthulhu, when you're like rolling for luck or something, there's a couple of scenarios where like you want to fail, but for the most part in Delta Green, you almost always want to roll under, unless it's an opposed test, which that's a mechanics question and not really. We're not really there yet. It'll come up in a game. It will come up at some point. We'll get there. It's what we call I think Delta Green calls it the blackjack rule. We'll get there.
I don't want to jump ahead. Was there more that you wanted to go over on the consent checklist before I ask more questions, Mike?
Well, I was just showcasing the RPG consent form that Chef Paul shared with us in the chat. I think one of the cool things about this particular checklist is that it doesn't hide. It literally says right here, planned game theme. That's kind of, a way to say, look, it's straightforward to the point. This is what's going to be part of the game. So it doesn't surprise anybody when they're running it later on. They're like, wait, whoa. Why is that part of it? It's like, well, it was there from the get-go, but we can stop,
Sure.
address it, and find a way to work through it. So yeah, that was the whole reason I pulled it up. Like, Chef Paul, thank you for sharing it. I think that's
I didn't
great.
know if this was like an actual like official resource, or if this was something that they're using.
It is, and there's I think it's the Monty Cook, and I don't really Monty Cook. I know he's a very, I mean, it's a name. He's very, very. There's a lot of historic prevalence. He's got a lot of connections to the tabletop RPG community.
Yeah, no, I like the way
this
it's laid out here because I haven't seen it before, but I like the checklist. That's why I was asking if it was a specific like resource to them or like where we find it. But I guess we can reach that. We can cover that outside of this discussion. So I guess my next question would be: do you have, again, because I haven't played this, do you have like some examples of something you would roll, and what, like maybe like 3 or 4 examples of something that you would roll, and what would that roll look like? Like, what would you want to roll if it was for that? And like, is there something on here that we can pull up that shows like a character sheet that shows a percentage or something of like skills?
Yeah, no, we can do this. Give me just a couple seconds to think about how best. Yeah, no, I got you, Chris.
I think the game
I
system
think I
is
hear
very
you.
like under what's the word I'm looking for? Because I really like it, and I know people hear about it and like the genre, but
yeah. So we'll start with while I stall and think about some ways that we could incorporate some other skill rolls. We'll start with like the most iconic role that you could do. So Chris and Mike, digital or reach out and touch them. You got your dice. You got some 1D100s ready. Lenny, you got some 1D100s ready?
Yeah, I can grab some.
I can grab it really quick.
Yeah.
I can run and grab it real quick.
Percentile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna go percentile. So, I mean, I'm gonna throw maybe my average is off. I'm gonna throw a number out there, and I'd say, generally speaking, average human beings sanity is gonna be 60, right? You're gonna start with about a 60 in sanity. We'll get to Mike. We'll get to character creation when you bring us there. But that's fair. I'm gonna say, for sake of argument, your sanity is a 60%.
You grab my dice traces, don't go bouncing off.
Chris, you're not. You are. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're not playing with us next week, correct?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think go. Hold on 1 second.
He wasn't originally slated to. If he wants to, if you can handle 5,
I can.
You
I
did
don't know
say
what
you
time
wanted
you
to
guys
keep
want
it at
to.
4.
I mean, for the I can.
I don't know what time the game is.
I can run.
When are you guys?
Yeah, I
Nine.
mean, this scenario is written for 4. We can run.
I don't
5.
think I even land until like 8 p.m. on Saturday next week, so I might not be able to make the game.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll keep it at 4.
Cool.
All right, so I'm just gonna throw I've got one scenario in my head because it's just super fresh. It's large scale, and we'll work a smaller scale. Chris, you're an agent, and you're a bureaucrat. You don't do much. You don't even carry a gun. You don't even like guns. Your character actively avoids touching firearms. Wants nothing to do with them. You're a paper pusher, and you pushed some paperwork through some CIA analyst from Mosul. Pushed some paperwork through. It was a request to send a convoy into unknown circumstances. Or do you can you feel that? Like you might have been in a situation like that before, right?
I've received paperwork in situations like that.
You have, right? What did that paperwork look like?
I mean, you could tell by reading it that like this person hasn't been here before. Like they don't know the situation. Like you
Detached
look
from
at
the
the paperwork
situation.
and you're like, okay, you have to read the paperwork to find out like what do they want us to accomplish, and then make the changes based off of that because whatever they wrote isn't going to be effective.
Yeah. No, what they wrote wasn't effective. It actually resulted in, again, I'll say this, viewer and player safety. Be advised, this is where this game gets real. Yeah, no, you're right. That person that wrote that paperwork is completely detached from reality. That paperwork that they just pushed through, that you signed for them, resulted in the lives of 100 service members. Roll me sanity, Chris.
Okay. I got a 73.
Over 60?
I guess I got a 73.
We just threw 60 out there.
Okay.
So a 73 over 60.
So what
That's
would
a
60 mean,
success.
I guess, is what I'm asking. Like,
So 60 in this scenario. And if I'm going, we can touch on this plenty more. If I'm going too fast, I can slow down. But in this scenario, 60 would represent your base sanity.
okay.
We want to, for a sanity check, we want to roll under.
Got it.
Right? For a success. Which you did, yes?
I rolled over a 60. I got a 73.
I'm complete. So yeah, in that case, that's a failure.
Yeah.
So you failed your sanity check.
Okay.
We won't talk about what a critical failure is yet. But you failed that sanity check. So that paperwork that just came across your desk that you just realized you signed last week. Oh shit. Was in a stack of papers. Oh fuck. I made a mistake. And that mistake just cost the lives of American service members. Roll me 1d6.
1d6. A 3.
You just took 3 points of sanity damage.
Okay.
That's nothing. It's a small chunk. Nothing. Your 3 points of sanity damage, you can blink it off, Chris. Mechanically, 5 points of sanity damage is kind of where, at one point in time, that's where we start talking like, oh crap, people are starting to catch on to your facial expressions and that you're breaking. 3 points of sanity, yeah, I mean, you might have a facial twitch, you might zone out and go into this, your own little world. You might have to ask somebody to recall the next 2 minutes or the last 2 minutes of a conversation.
Somebody mentions like a word that you remember off that paperwork that you signed and like you snap every time they say it. Like, would that be like a role playing
or
scenario?
it irks you in a way?
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, no, nothing small. But that's a scenario. That's one scenario where a sanity check can come up. You filled some paperwork, and as a result of your of a failed, I forgot to check that one box right there. You know the government paperwork that has the boxes that you better check, right? Now I'm having to pay the consequences for it. So that's large scale. Let's get a little bit more personal with it. Mike, you're playing a character again. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, your sanity is 60. You're on an airplane. Airplane starts shaking. You've got some turbulence. And you see start seeing prismatic shapes coming out of the cockpit door. Can you tell I'm making stuff up on the fly? Let's do it. Right? What are you gonna do? Right? You're on a plane. It's a commercial flight. It's actually it's an empty flight. There's a lot of empty seats on this flight, Mike. What are you gonna do?
Look around to see if anyone else noticed the lights.
You see the woman. She's across the aisle from you. She notices the lights. When she notices the lights, she falls unconscious and starts bleeding from her eyes. Roll sanity.
Boy. I got an 11.
An 11. Oh, boo. We're hitting so much stuff here, and it's just happening. An 11 would be, so let's talk about what a critical success would be in deltagreen. Critical success. Oh my god, what's the mathematical term for matching integers? Is that it? So like 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99. And then obviously 1 and 100. A 1 would be a critical, like the critical list of successes, and a 100 being a critical failure. So in this case, you've got an 11 under 60. We're saying your sanity would be a 60. This would be considered a critical success. You're fine, man. You see this blood coming from this woman's eyes after these prismatic shapes are coming from the cockpit, and you shrug it off. You should probably worry about that cockpit, man. She's seen better days. Like go handle business.
Okay. So then I get up and go investigate the door.
Yeah. Should that roll had been a 66, it would have been over your number of 60, and it would have been a critical failure. That would have resulted in max failure.
Okay.
So let's sanity checks. Lenny, let me think here. Let's say you're playing a give me a profession, Lenny.
Oh man. Doctor.
All right, you're a doctor. You're working in an ER. Anybody watched Pitt? The new like ER show on HBO?
I have not watched it yet.
Not yet.
No.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. They like really try to like get some like real medical training out of their stuff. It's pretty good. Anyways, you're a medical doctor. You're in an ER. You're performing surgery. All right. You're a doctor. I'm gonna do a couple of things here and connect some dots. One of the things I love about deltagreen is you're not playing these characters that you're playing in deltagreen. You guys ever seen the memes of like, this is how I view my D&D character and my D&D party, and this is how my DM views my DM character or my character and my party? And
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
Spartan Warriors and the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, the dice have a story to tell, and sometimes the dice in a D&D game, you know, sometimes you gotta be that. You gotta be the Three Stooges. Deltagreen, uh, it's assumed that you're professionals in your craft. So, Lenny, if you tell me you're a doctor, like right off the bat, I'm kind of assuming you've got at least an 80% in the skill of surgery.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
emergency room, right? And 80% in a skill represents a lifetime of mastery, right? So I mean, you're doing it. It's a high skill for you. You're performing a surgery. A man just jumped from the top of a building. Why does that come up? Because it actually happened in downtown Knoxville last night. And it's what happens in my head, right? We roll with it. This is how I GM. I call it how I see it. You just had a guy jump from a building. He's alive. And you're performing surgery on him in the ER. Roll me surgery, brother. You got an 80 in the skill, a lifetime of mastery.
All right. That is a 6.
That's a success. You're able to stop. You're performing something. You're in his abdominal, cavity. You're performing surgery. I'm not a doctor, and I have zero medical training, right? But you can still see this, right? The blood is pulsing, right? Squirts, right? There's a nurse beside you, and
She's mopping my forehead.
Yeah. I was gonna say that like you nick something and maybe like a blood vessel squirts some blood on her cheek, and instead of wiping her own cheek, she wipes your forehead. Great nurse. She knows how to take care of the doctor, right? Because in this point in like taking care of you takes care of the patient, and the nurse knows that. 6 on your surgery check, right? You're good, right? Slight nick, but you're good. You get the bleeding under control. Oh, fuck. That patient's eyes just opened. Roll me sanity.
All right. That is a 56.
Let's just say we'll go with that like arbitrary, like 60. Character creation drives all. That's not a rule, but let's 60. So 56 would be a success on your sanity check. We're looking at like you've got some different categories here. So it would be like that'd be a small roll, but it's a success, and you may not even be subject to it at this point. But so 3 quick scenarios of how some deltagreen rolls might come across, Chris. They can come from anywhere.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I was trying to get it to the point of like, if somebody has no idea what deltagreen is or how it looks to play, like to understand a little bit of the mechanics behind it. Which I think I
if
answered.
someone if someone knows what if someone's played D&D before, Delta Green is usually easy to grasp. It's usually a welcome, like, oh, this isn't as hard. Again, it also depends on kind of going back to that table discussion. I've got tables that want to know little about mechanics, and they just want the narrative and the story. And I've played with tables that they want to know the nitty gritty. They want to get into that, kind of that more nuanced level of play. It's a very versatile system that could go both ways with it. I prefer the more open, narrative forward approach, but you can go either way with it.
I guess yeah, okay. I guess the reason I was asking is like just understanding like how do you even play it in the first place? Like that's why I was asking the question of like what would that role look like? So that way people at home, like if they've never even seen the game before, they would understand it.
Yeah, Chris. Mike, to Chris's point here, do you still have that? Yeah, I see you've got the character sheet pulled up now.
Yeah.
Do you have the need to know document still handy?
Yep, that's what this is from.
Yeah. So, Chris, to your point, if you didn't know what deltagreen was and you were wanting to learn a little bit more about it, this is the deltagreen starter scenario, right? So this is the deltagreen beginner box. I think it's free. I think the scenario is free. It's deltagreen need to know. It's got a scenario in the back of it. It's called Last Things Last. It's amazing. I've run the scenario in deltagreen 50 times, and it's been great every single time. But yeah, let's you want to process, we can work through the first part of this deltagreen need to know document. I don't want to derail this. Just want to make sure that we do have some time to build some a character for at least for you, Mike, so we can kind of do a demonstration on for the other players for the scenario.
I guess
we can.
Will those questions be answered through the character creation?
I think a lot of them would be, yeah, man.
If that's the case, then we just do that. I was just making sure that like people understood from the system standpoint. Like what one, like I guess you shared, they can go find this resource and look it up themselves. But two, like when we go through the character creation, that'll probably help them understand like what you're building, how you build the character, and like what you'd be using to actually play that character through the game itself.
Yeah, I do think that character creation would answer. Again, the system. I hate saying it because I mean, again, it's I take my own grasp of the system for granted sometimes, just because I've been in it for a couple of years now, and some of that's really coming full circle for me as a handler, just with the amount of being able to look back on the past year and just all the fun stuff that we've been able to do. But it's really, again, for anybody who's coming from D&D as their analog for tabletop RPGs, it's a much smaller portion. It's very easy to digest and intuitive.
I got the character sheet printing out for me right now.
You do?
Yeah. So I'll have a physical copy in front of me. But I mean, looking at the character sheet, it is, like you said, it is pretty straightforward. Not seeing a whole lot.
That was the part.
Like this.
That was the part down there that I was
asking
about down there.
Yeah, this is all the skills that he was talking about, and like what level in certain skills you have based off of percentage.
So that number right next to the skill itself, is that telling you like you automatically have that amount in that skill no matter what?
That is exactly what that number is telling you.
Okay.
And with that, let's cook. Let's go through this. I think character creation it answers a lot of questions, and then obviously we can address any that come up, and then at the end, if there's any outlying questions, we can bring them up. So let's I'm gonna get to my agent's handbook here. Agent's handbook, every game usually kind of gives you a 1, 2, 3 process for how to create a character. And it usually starts with you setting those first stats. So we can either roll stat, and it's like any other game. Some of these steps are interchangeable. Mike, for the game that we're gonna play next week, PX Poker Night. We're gonna be playing. It's a scenario that takes place in 1998, and the scenario actually comes preloaded with some pre-gens. We're gonna build characters. In this scenario, I do have to say that your profession is going to be that of a airman. You're going to be a Air Force service member.
All right.
On the back end of your career, you're currently you're working through a dishonorable discharge from the U.S. Air Force. Your last permanent change of station, your current duty assignment is at Platt Air Force Base in Nebraska.
Okay.
That's our setting. So in that, I've given you some of your character creation and the fact that you're gonna be playing a service member, you're gonna be playing an airman, and we're gonna talk about how little that actually means to you, because you can still you still have a lot to work with within that guidance, and we're gonna get there. Starting step 1, we start with your derived attributes. Your derived attributes are your basic skills: your strength, your con, your dex, your intelligence, your pal, and your charisma. Strength, con, dex, very common analogs to our other games. Same with intelligence. Power, power is your force of personality, your motivation, and your psychic resilience. This is your will, right? When they say when the will is strong, everything is easy. This is a strong-willed person. And then charisma, your charm, your leadership. You can roll these stats. There's some default stats in the books that you can choose from, and they all have their ranges. And for the most part, these skills, they're, to me, not the most important part of the character creation process. The profession is kind of it's what sets the concept. It's what, for me, when I build a character, I think of it conceptually. Like, all right, what's this? You can play an anthropologist or historian, computer scientist, engineer, federal agent, physician, special operator, scientist, criminal, firefighter, foreign service officer, intelligence analyst, lawyer or business executive, intelligence case officer, or media specialist, nurse, paramedic, police officer, pilot, sailor. So, Mike, I've said you're a U.S. Air Force service member.
Got it.
It's still based on what I tell you. What's your profession? Do you know? I understand you may know what you want to play, what I want to convey, you still got a lot of flexibility in what you want to, what kind of character you want to play here.
Okay.
So what do you have off the top of your head? Are you leaning any certain way with your character for next week? Are you thinking somebody one way to look force focused, as in action on ground? I can shoot stuff, I can touch things, I can search for things, I can pick things up, and I can look, and I can look for things. And then like there's like the investigative approach. I can do paper. I can make other people do my dirty work for me, right? That's one way to look at it.
Could I go the route of engineer?
You could.
I think that's the route I want to take. Someone who works on the engine, like the engineering side of like fighter jets, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that absolutely works, right? And that's exactly kind of the example to capture there, right? The guidance you're given here is your Air Force with a questionable past on the back end. What do you want to do with that? Want to be an engineer? It's too easy. Done. Right? We're going to come back to that, Mike. Lenny, what about you? You have any prototypes? Anything that's sticking out to you? You got a character pre-made for this session already? Or
No, definitely not pre-made. I've only pretty much come up with a name.
That's all we need.
So yeah, that'll be Daniel Joseph McNamara. I'm thinking name. Pilot. I'm not sure what kind yet exactly. Helicopters or something else, or
yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think I'd like to go the pilot.
So pilot drone is a skill, but again, like 1998 time settings, right? In that modern setting, how viable is that drone skill in 98? We can, it's the beauty of the game. Yeah. So a pilot and an engineer to start. Chris, you got anything pulled up? I definitely don't want to leave you out.
I haven't made a name yet. I'll do that later. I don't have. I'm gonna have to look at. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna have to look at what Mike has pulled up here. Can you scroll back up, Mike, on the sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. So, is it right there? The number of bonds? Is that where you'd pick it from, or bond examples? Like, where do you choose from the actual, or is it just on the right side? Like, where do you choose the professions?
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
If are you on? You'll get to the agent's handbook.
I couldn't
page
find
18.
the agent's handbook. I don't think that one got sent over to me.
I was gonna send that. That was the one I was supposed to send you right before we went stream. And I'm looking at our messages now. I see where you asked for it.
I guess I could just jump into. I'll be a PJ, so special operator.
Boom. Right. Exactly. Right. That special operator profession that we've got in there. It can be. It can be anything. It doesn't tie you down to anything specific. All right, so we've got.
I pulled the character sheet off of their website, the deltagreen website. So I've got the fillable PDF up.
Awesome, free, right?
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So let's we'll look at the engineer real quick. Get to the page.
So when it's talking here on this particular page in here, we get these categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it says choose any 4 from these categories.
Mm-hmm. So that would be kind of like your base skill package is what that would be. So drawing a D&D analog, this is your class, and these are your class features. These are your class skills.
So the column on the character sheet on the right, that's where we would fill in the percentage.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Pretty
Now,
straightforward.
you'll notice on your character sheet that you've got some boxes to the left of your skill names.
Okay.
Those boxes, I like to use them during character creation. That's not what they're there for. Use them as we work through character creation. When you feel the need to check them when we get to that point in the character creation process, just understand that those boxes are meant for in-game play only, not character creation. We'll get there. Those boxes are how you basically how you level up. We'll get there. But yeah, and Chris, as you mentioned, the number in parentheses to your skill. So alertness, parentheses 20, represents that everybody, regardless of how much training or skill you have in that, has some level of alertness. Everybody has at least 20 alertness. Oh, but you take a skill, something specialized like psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is the equivalent of being able to talk somebody off the edge. Psychotherapy is a 10, right? So everybody has some inclination of human nature to. I'm gonna try and help you. Got some research skills. Take archaeology. Archaeology is a field of education that you go into. You don't just wake up with the innate ability to do archaeology. You have to go to school to get archaeology. So that would be a parentheses 0. Does that make sense? I'm explaining it good.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense to the chat? Y'all with me, chat? Everything making sense for the most part?
So far, it all's kind of like clicking. Like the fact that there are some innate skills that everyone shares is kind of nice because it's on some level people have some knowledge and it doesn't just kind of pigeonhole them into one particular section. The best comparison I can have, and this was a complaint that was brought up when we ran Vicen, is someone is only able to do one particular or a very few things, and then you are kind of helpless in other situations. Which, I mean, in that system, it works because it generates the possibility of teamwork and working together.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of makes sense that at least on some level you have some level of like alertness, for example, is a good example. So yeah.
And so there's that. So we got your derived attributes, and then you've got your profession. So that kind of drives step 1 and step 2 of of the agent creation process.
So when you have your
Go ahead,
derived,
Chris.
like, is there a list then for like special operator, or is there a list for like when you have the derived? Like, is there something that I'm supposed to be looking at?
There
for that?
is. There
Okay.
is. Let me. I need to get this agent's handbook to you.
And then other question, age and like date of birth and things like that. Does any of that matter?
It matter. Age and date of birth. Not any more than it would in any other game that doesn't assign some real mechanics to those. No,
Okay.
not so much. There's no real.
So, for instance, like in Vaesen, there is a mechanic where if you're a certain age or whatever, you lose a little bit of another portion of your skill set or whatever, but you gain something else out of it, right? So, but there's no mechanic then tied to your age
not
here.
to the age.
Okay.
There is a like mechanic, but it's not tied to the age of your
Okay.
agent.
Got it.
Your agent could be 98 years old and still viable,
Sure.
or 20.
Okay.
Good, solid question. Oh, so your derived attributes or your statistics, Chris. These are your normal stats, and then you've got your derived attributes. I actually working through the agent's handbook right now. I see. I actually misspoke earlier, and I want to be right. Step 1 is to determine your statistics. Your statistics. I called them something else earlier. Your statistics are
You
your
called
strength,
them
dex,
derived
con, intelligence, power.
attributes.
I did, and that is not what they're called. I'm looking. I'm following around in the book, and I see that I misspoke. So the strength, dex, con, intelligence, power. Those are your starting statistics. Again, those can be rolled or assigned via a chart that the agent's handbook provides for you. That gives you some options.
Okay.
Step 2 is then your derived attributes. Your derived attributes are kind of driven from those stats. These are your hit points, which, like other games, kind of talks to your con score. You've got your willpower points, which talk to your power statistic. You've got your sanity points, which also talk to your power statistic with your breaking point. These represent your physical and mental resilience. Step 3 is then those professions and the skills.
Okay.
The skills is where I would say we spend the bulk of our time in the skills. The next step, once we get past the skills, is defining your bonds. Your bonds are really cool. Those are the relationships that keep your agent grounded in reality against the unnatural. A great one might be, aside from sanity, I think maybe the defining characteristic of this game. I think bonds are really what sets this game apart. We'll get there in step 4. We're in skills, and everything else goes back. Step 5 is those final details, Chris. The age and the profession. What college did I go to? Stuff like that.
Das Jingo had a quick question about what virtual tabletop we're going to use.
Great question. Who was it that asked that question?
Das Jingo? He just joined us.
Das Jingo. Hey,
Welcome.
Das Jingo. Great question. Yes, welcome. Virtual tabletop we'll be using. If we use any virtual tabletop, it'll be Foundry. The scenario that we're running has a published module for the scenario. We'll probably be running off of that. Again, I do a lot of theater of the mind. My Foundry integration when it comes to deltagreen is kind of as needed, and as it adds to the scenario, it's most of our game will be taking place much like what we're playing right now.
Okay. All right, so we need to roll our stats. How do we roll those?
So stats, there's a website that Chef Paul, who's probably checked out by now, was using earlier to roll some stats. Let me I've got to, I'm fighting the old Apple bug. I've got my agent's handbook downloaded in my Apple Books app, but it's not downloaded to my iCloud Drive, and I guess as soon as I can get this PDF,
yeah,
I'll shoot it to you.
Sounds good. Dash Jingo at a follow-up. He's asking which module you are running.
Which scenario? This is going to be PX Poker Night. But and it might be in the need to know as well. There's assignable sets of statistics. It's on page when I get it to you. It's on page 19 of the Agent's Handbook.
No, I saw an agent creator website.
There is one. I've never used it, and again, it I mean,
it does
to each their own.
Yeah, it's on GitHub, so interesting.
I don't think personally, and again, to each its own, and to convenience goes the spoils, but I think the character creation process is easy enough in deltagreen that it's something to support it is necessary. But again, it is also super nice to have.
All right, so
There we go. So you've got you can roll or you can assign them, and there is it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a 3x7 chart in the Agent's Handbook that says, hey, you can play a well-rounded agent, a focused agent, or a highly focused agent. And it says these would be your assignable numbers. You can assign them for whatever stats that you want, or you can roll it randomly.
So what would I roll? Like what dice do I roll?
Let's get to. I almost always use the assignable stats. So if you're rolling stats, you roll 4d6 and you drop the lowest of the 4, and you add up the other 3.
46.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're gonna roll them.
I'm gonna roll mine.
Why not?
Roll them up. Everybody roll them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to stick to one way.
So drop the lowest, you said?
Yeah, so roll 4d6,
and we're gonna go
drop the lowest.
All right. So I got an 11 on my first roll.
I got a 17. And
Holy
I got
crap,
a 17 again. I got 2 17s in a row.
That's awesome.
I promise my
I got a
dice aren't
15.
loaded. 15's not bad though.
No, I was pretty happy with that.
See,
Actually,
and then
I'm sorry. I got a 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I got a 16.
There you go. See, and then I got an 11, so it all balances out.
Okay, so do you just put that in your first?
As far as I'm concerned, you set that number aside, and you can assign that to whatever statistic you would like to.
Okay,
Okay.
If you want to go down,
I'm
if
just
you wanna
going down
go
the row. Yeah.
checkbox, you know, hey, more power to
16.
you.
Okay. All right. So then go again. So each one of these is always going to be 4d6.
Yeah, 4d6 drop the lowest. Now, what's you've got the in the Roll to Heal Discord server, the character creation channel seems to be pretty busy. The Roll Stats channel,
Yeah.
that's set up specifically for a certain setting, though, isn't it?
I've got it set up to where it cancels out anything, but it still does the same, similar to this, where like when you roll in D&D, you roll the 4 and then you keep the highest 3. But it also rules out anything below a 10 because I don't do negative stats in my games normally for D&D. So
Okay.
because if you roll below a 10, then it's considered a negative stat, right? So I'm gonna write these down and then.
Yeah, there's similar here. So I think 10. What do we got? So let me get to my references here.
Oh. All right.
So anything from 9 to 12 is considered average.
Okay.
Okay. I got 2 average so far.
Okay. Just guys, you guys are rolling these stats and trying to conceptualize your character. 9 to 12 is average.
Okay.
And then obviously once you start getting into 13 to 16 would be above average. 17 to 18 is top notch.
Exceptional.
So not horrible. I got 2 15s, an 11, a 10, a 12, and 2 12s.
Not too bad. I got
So
a 9, an 11, 2 15s, and 2 17s.
I rolled pretty good. I got a 16, a 7, a 17, a 9, a 14, and a 14.
So
okay.
Chris continues to summon gods.
All
All right, cool.
All right.
What? So for the audience, Chris, you know what I'm referencing. What did you roll that one day? That was the probability, the number of 6s that you rolled was like.
Which game was it?
It was in that character creation channel in the Discord.
Oh,
It was a week and a half ago, maybe tops.
yeah. I was checking to see if it worked.
Something in there.
It
works.
Is this working or not? And I rolled it because I always have that like feeling that it's cheating you, because it's digital or whatever. So I was like, let me roll it, and then it gave me some crazy. And I was like, oh, it works.
Yeah, it did. Chris summoned a minor deity to the Discord server.
Let's see. I'd say that's going to be a 9 and then a 14.
Okay. So after we roll our
Yes,
stats, we move on to the derived attributes. And how do we calculate those?
Yeah, so calculating those, your HP is, and I'm not sure if the sheet auto calculates. I know some of the sheets auto calculate, some don't. And for the purposes of covering the process, we shouldn't count on the auto calculation features. So your health points, your HP equals your strength plus con divided by 2, rounded up.
Okay.
So after you roll, just really quick on the stats side, after you roll your stats, do you go back and fill in the ×5 section before you move on?
You would.
Okay.
Once you're and you could do it at any point. I mean, obviously you're probably using a pencil anyways. There are some things later in the character creation process that might bring you back around to erase those numbers and adjust them. But yeah, you're at this point, if you're got a
Okay.
pencil and you're working through the character creation process, you could go ahead and multiply those values by 5.
Can you go over the hit points again? Sorry, I was.
Yeah. So your hit points are
Mhm.
your strength plus your con divided by 2.
So
Rounded
it'd
up.
be okay. So the base, the 6, not the ×5 one, but the base one, right? So
Yes.
it'd be 16 plus 14 divided by, what was it?
Divided by 2.
Yeah, let me just.
And then round it up.
So 15.
Then your willpower is equal to your POW.
All right.
Oh,
That one's pretty simple.
Equal to
Easy
your
enough,
power.
right?
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
easy enough.
Got it.
Now your sanity is equal to your POW times 5.
All right.
All right. So 70.
Do the hard math.
Yeah,
I pulled out my
again,
calculator.
It's
So that's where that
hard now.
×5 part comes in, I guess.
All right.
Yep.
I got 60.
Now your BP, your breaking point. This is Chris, what's your sanity right now as you work? through
70.
this? Right. So your breaking point is your sanity minus your POW.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Big
So,
math
and
here.
that's always under. So it won't let me fill in where it says maximum. It only lets me fill in the current section. So it would
because your maximums, that's correct.
be okay. So
Everything's working right.
70 minus what?
So it would be 70 minus your power, your POW.
Well, sanity is a 70, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, minus the 14. Got it. Okay.
Yep. So sanity minus
So
14.
56.
So
Yep.
once you lose 14 points of sanity, you are going to hit a breaking point mechanically.
Got it.
And that is a mechanic best explained later or through gameplay itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But that's that BP stands for your breaking point. It's your, normally what, you got it. You roll insanity, you hit a breaking point, bad things happen, and that's the game. It's amazing. It's where the magic happens. But yeah, so you got your health points, your willpower points, your sanity, and your breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
And then that that's your statistics and your derived attributes.
All right.
So then when you
Fantastic.
fill this out on your maximum side, it would just be your hit points, the way you went down the road, and then the current side would be as you're playing, you're updating that section. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then your max san, like you said, that doesn't really that blocks stays blank. You're pretty much working with your current san.
Got it.
Max san is 99. It can change, but for the most part, I mean, the game is attacking your sanity. If your number's getting that high, then you're either playing a really deep game or something different's going on. Like I said, it's there. I mean, you are able. There are ways for you to raise your san, and like any player using their agency, if you were to dump all your resources, all your time, and all your opportunities that you got to like restoring your sand, you could probably jack it up pretty high, but it would take some work. At least in my game, it would. But yeah, so that's statistics and derived attributes.
Challenge accepted.
We've kind of talked on the next step, working through the agent's handbook on page 16, Mike. Kind of gives you a pretty low down. We're about halfway through the process. Like we're it's about done at this point. Your professions come with a set of skills that you would carry over to your character sheet. Again, some of them say, hey, you're going to get these and then choose 2 of the 4 here,
Right.
or whatever the case may be. So we've got our profession. We've got our professional skills. And then you also get bonus skills. These are you can apply a bonus skill 8 times. We'll say it says here that you apply it to 8 skills, but you can apply it to the same skill more than once. There's some nuance here, but it's pretty. Basically, you have 160 points that you can disperse as you wish in 20-point intervals. So I'll say that again. You can pick 8 skills and put 20 points into each of them. That's a total of 160 points that you can kind of disperse as you will, and these are your background skills. That being said, I see, Mike, that you're kind of scrolling through pages.
Yeah, I was
Could
trying to
I
find
get
the boost section that you're talking about right now.
Page 27.
27.
Where was the
It's not
the player's
page
handbook
27.
shared?
I sent that. I'll drop that. Do you also need it, Lenny?
Oh, yes, please. Or I mean, I can always look it up myself as well. I found a character sheet to fill out.
I got you on that.
Oh, dexterity and intelligence. That's what I made 15. Lucky guesses.
So on page 27 of the agent's handbook here, these bonus skill point packages. Where do I want to put them? You can do it yourself manually, however you would like, or you could come to page 27 here, and it's basically these are your background skills. What did your agent do before his or her current profession? What does your agent do in their downtime when they're not performing surgery? And it goes in alphabetical order. It starts with artist, actor, or musician. Black bag training is an option. A blue collar worker is an option. A translator is an option. And this just kind of gives you something quick that you could say, okay, hey, you know what? I want to, so Lenny, you said you wanted to play a pilot, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that you wanted to play a doctor who used to be a pilot. You could pick the doctor profession and then come here to the pilot background. And this might represent, your doctor who, is working through his pilot's license, and he's
Right.
almost got it, right? You know, I mean, however you would want to do it. Again, it gives it options. Something quick. Hey, I need something. Or you can go through here and be like, yeah, you know what? I want 20 points here. I want 20 points there. And that's where I use the checkboxes during character creation. I got 8 skills to disperse 20 points to. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, alertness. You can never go wrong with alertness. Search. Can't go wrong with search.
So when I go in here and look at special operator, do I take all of these, or do I take only a certain amount of these from the list?
From the list under special operator, you
Yeah.
would take all of them up until the point that it said like you can only pick 2 of these. So looking at the special operator, there are none of those so if you look to the left of special operator at physician,
Oh, I got it. Yeah,
you
I
see it says choose any 2 of
Yeah.
these that you don't already have. Like special operator doesn't give you that
So-
option. So yeah, you would just apply those skills.
So if alertness is 60%, and I already have 20%, does that make it 80?
It does. You're
Okay.
absolutely correct.
Or is it just 60?
Let me confirm that. There,
Okay.
it's a sentence in here. Oh my god, you got me double. It's the base skill. It's that's what it is.
So 60 is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So, and then you would check mark that, I guess?
So, no. At this point, you wouldn't check mark it.
Okay.
And you don't use the check boxes for character creation.
Got it.
I do personally. But those are not why the check boxes are there.
Okay.
It kind of helps just make sure you uncheck them. So when I'm going and I'm distributing my bonus skills, so in this, Chris, to use your special operator as an example, you've taken alertness. So alertness is going to be 60. That's what's going to go in your box.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use one of your bonus skill point packages to bump that up to an 80, you could.
Okay.
So I would then you'd build your special operator, alertness of 60. I'd put 20 into alertness, bumping it up to an 80, which is as high as you can go at character creation. And then I would check the box.
Got it. So it says bonus skill points, pick any 8 skills. Got it. So you go through, put them in, and then you can go back and pick any 8 of them to add an additional 20 points. Is it 20 points across the board, or each one of them you pick adds 20?
Each. Ask your
Pick
question.
any 8
Ask
skills.
that question again.
So when you pick it says pick any 8 skills and add 20 points to each.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so okay, so it's 20 points for every skill that you choose out of the 8.
Yes.
So okay,
you can't go over 80 at character creation.
Got it. So for instance, like under melee weapons, it's a 50, but you'd be like, well, I'm a special operator. It makes sense that would be a 70, not a 50. So you'd choose that as like one of your bonus. Okay.
Yes, and at that point, Chris, Tommy, would check that box to tell myself during character creation that I put some points into that skill.
Got it.
Again, that's not why that box is there. I make the choice to use that box for that purpose. We're gonna talk about those boxes They have their purposes, but it's not character creation. It
Okay.
can be used. We'll get there, but yeah, no, you're all over it, Chris. So far, any other questions? Lenny, Mike, chat.
Not that I can see.
And then for good practice, do you
I
go
just
back?
asked if you had a question and you didn't answer.
And do you for good practice, do you go back and add in, like, where if you don't have something in that box already and it tells you that you should have like a percentage in there, do you just go back and add those in just so it's filled?
I think Foundry automatically fills the boxes for you.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't
That's
do it
where
on
I've
this
gotten.
PDF
I
one.
think that's where I've
Okay.
gotten used to playing.
Got
That's character preference. I know some some players like to keep up with their character sheets like I keep up with my journal. I take it everywhere I go, and then there's other players who don't pull up their character sheets ever.
Sure. I guess for me, like if I'm going back and doing the bonus, it allows me to quickly look and be like, where would I want to fill in more that I don't have in an area?
Again, and that's so let me while you bring up that topic, let's talk about these boxes. Let me control F. What do I need to where do I need to get boxes? These boxes are how you level up. They're not for character creation. And Delta Green, you don't get levels. In Delta Green, you level up through failure. So anytime you roll a skill, not a derived attribute or a statistic, anytime you roll a skill and you fail it, you check that box. That's what that box is there for. It's not there for character creation or anything else. It's there for when you fail that skill. You check that box. Depending on how the game's being played, some Delta Green scenarios are played kind of scenario to scenario. Then you've got campaigns. It's handler prerogative, but usually during natural, think of it, this is something that would happen during like a short or a long rest. Handler's going to say, okay, give me some skill improvement rolls. And at that point, you're going to roll all the skills that you failed. And assuming you failed and assuming you succeed at that skill, you're going to get the chance to add. I think it's written as 1d4. It can vary based upon the scope of the campaign that you're playing. But the idea is you fail that roll, you check the box, you get your skill improvement roll, and then you level it up. So take stealth.
So if I'm understanding that correctly, say I make a drive roll and I fail it, I would check that box, and then when we go to rest and you tell us to roll, I guess a learn check would be the way to go about it.
Skill improvement check, but yeah, a learn check just as well.
And then you're
Full
rolling
send. I like it.
And then you're rolling a percentile, and the objective is to get under your current drive check, right?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm tracking.
You succeed that check, and then you get to level up that skill. So you would then roll 1d4 or whatever other dice your DM told you to roll based off of the game that you're playing, and you would then add that to that skill. Let
Okay.
me get it in the rule book so I can, be right and precise. Skill improvement roll is what we're looking for.
Crystal approves of my recollection of your teachings.
Hey, I like it as well.
Well, that kind of makes me understand why everyone's always asking you if they can roll, so they can
Right?
fail.
Exactly. You do, and I'll run into this sometimes. So there are situations where you might roll a derived, or not a derived attribute, but a statistic. There might be a situation where it's like, okay, roll strength, or you could roll strength, or maybe this isn't the best. You could roll charisma or disguise. Okay, so you've got a derived attribute roll, which would be your charisma times 5, or you could roll disguise. All right. Well, if you fail the charisma roll, there's no box for charisma. There's no box to check there. It's like, all right, well, maybe you should roll disguise. That way, if you fail, you give yourself the chance to check that box. Or I could just be an evil handler and say, hey, you know what? Deal with it.
Proving skills, page 31 in the PDF.
Oh, there we go, dude. Nice.
It says we learned from failure. If your agent has at least 1% in a skill, any except unnatural, it can improve when your agent attempts to use it and fails. Gaining an entirely new skill requires special training, and you can find that on the home on page 76 for details. On the character sheet, next to every skill except unnatural, there's a checkbox. When your agent tries to use a skill and fails, put a check mark in that skills box at the end of each session. Add 1 percentage point to every skill that has a check next to it and erase the check. So that's per the agent's handbook.
And it said add 1 point.
It does. It says at the end of each session, add 1 percentage point to every skill. And then you've got failing without rolling. It says if your agent attempts a challenging task that requires a certain level of skill, but not a roll, and fails because the task requires more skill than your agent has, put a check in the box.
Okay.
All right.
So that's what those boxes are there for. I like to use it during character creation, but I also like to point out that those boxes are actually your level up mechanism.
Sure. That's there to identify what you put the extra points into.
Yeah.
I get what you're
Right,
saying.
that way I can count like, okay, hey, I've got, I got 8 skills. Boom. I got 8 checks. I'm good. Boom. Erase them. I'm good.
Question. With the 8 the 8 bonus skills that you can choose to add to, if you don't have a skill already, can you use, like, for instance, foreign language? Could you say, I want to take that 20 and assign it to a foreign language that I didn't know? Okay.
You can.
Got it.
Okay. Cool. Lenny, are you tracking with us? You on the same steps? Perfect. Moving along, right?
So and that is
Yeah.
the bulk. Skills are the bulk of character creation.
Okay.
For deltagreen.
Now,
Go ahead, Mike.
There was one thing I saw up here. Bonds. What are bonds?
Yes, bonds are the next step in the process. Bonds are, I think, maybe the quiet driver behind this game. Bonds. Chris, because I know you've got it pretty much memorized. I'm gonna step away from the keyboard for just a second. Before I talk about bonds, will you please tell me about the book and the audience about the book Tribe?
Sure. So the book Tribe by Sebastian Junger. Really, the premise, if you were to summarize it, is it takes a step back to look at the root causes of service member PTSD and service member suicide rates as well, and kind of how those come about and why. And it really looks into how we've lost our way as a civilization from the original tribal instincts that we have as just humankind in general, and how those instincts drive us to make decisions and give us better, like personal health well-being, physical health well-being, and to be able to like rely on each other as a group setting, when it comes to why it's so important to have that tribe of people around you. And our civilization no longer has that. And so when you go from a service role, either military or first responder or healthcare professional side, where you're in that group, you have that tight group of people that you never had before. And then you leave that behind and you go back to a civilization that doesn't support that. You feel lost. You feel like you don't have purpose, and that drives a ton of like negative issues when it comes to mental well-being and so forth. So anyways, it really ties into the reasoning behind why that's so important to build a community. And one of the reasons that we reference it so much is because it's a big tie into what we're doing here, is building that community base. And I think you mentioned it earlier, Tommy, was you had said this group, and then you like rephrased it to say the Roll the Hill family, right? Because the people that do come in and talk a lot in our general chat, you can tell the conversations we have in general are more like family conversations. Like the people that come in and talk, it's like brother, sister. Like it's very easy for people to talk to each other. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
well, I mean, like you, like couple of examples of that. We got people come in and they talk about what's going on in their life, what they're doing with their families, how things are going, projects they're working on. Like there's genuine connection that's happening in those conversations, which is beautiful to see. And I mean, like me and Chris are gonna have a good connection tomorrow because Corey is actually in Dallas on a business trip, and he's like, "Hey, I want to get together while I'm there because you guys are both there." And we're like, "Absolutely!" So he's gonna come and hang out with us tomorrow at our table for Roll to Heal.
he's
For
only
our
going to be able to
chapter.
sit for a couple hours because his plane got bumped up, so he's probably gonna have to take an Uber back. But because he has to fly out, he boards at 4, so he'll probably have to get there at 2. So he'll probably only be able to hang out for an hour or two. But yeah, either way, like he's gonna get to come sit at the table and see us face to face and
Get to meet the other members of the Mesquite chapter too. So it's awesome. And that's
watch
what it's
my
about.
GMing shenanigans.
Chris, man, your dream is coming true.
Yeah, it's slowly coming
I
together.
mean,
Remember, we
like
talked
seriously,
about that
like
before.
we did.
Yeah.
Like, kudos, man, great job.
Yeah, I remember I explained that. I said, like, what would it be like if you traveled to? I think I used that as an example too. It was like if you traveled somebody for work and you're like, hey, I've got like time. What's going on in your area? Can I come sit at a table? Like Corey's getting to live that. So
yeah, he's getting to live that because the work we're doing here, it's needed. It's there's a place for it, and I didn't. I'll be real. I what we just did with like bonds and oh hey Chris, tell me about tribe. I've had that set up for weeks now. And it gave me chills. I'm gonna read from the agent's handbook now. Bonds measure your agent's relationship with the vital people in his or her life. I didn't expect it to affect me the way that it is, but I've got chills right now, and this is when I opened it up, and I'm a firm believer. This game, when it comes to healing for veterans and people from our line of work and our demographic, this is it. Bonds measure the relationships with the vital people in his or her life, loved ones, family members, and close friends. A bond can protect your agent from sand loss, a mechanic we haven't talked about yet. It'll come up next week at some point, I promise. Bonds are not merely motivations or things that your agent likes. They are your agent's connection to humanity. An agent with no bonds is more susceptible to psychological trauma than one who has people waiting back home. Your agent's profession determines how many bonds your agents begin with. Chris, you chose a special operator. How many bonds do you have?
I'm looking. So is that going to be underneath?
It would be in, so where you did your special operator and you got your list of skills, it would be there.
All right, let me go back and look.
I know the engineer has 3 bonds.
The engineer has 3. How many does the special operator have? It's not 3.
It's usually at the bottom underneath the skills.
2.
2. Why is that? It's because special operators deployed all the time and doesn't get to see their family. The engineers, at least stateside. If you go look at media specialists, they've probably got 5.
So you're bonded with your teammate and your weapon.
Sounds about right.
So mechanically, your teammate would be a bond. As I continue reading about bonds can't be inanimate objects. But the spirit of what you said is absolutely right, Chris.
Yeah. Okay.
So
pilots only have
that
3
is the
as
bond.
well.
And when done right and you try to lean into this system, the bond, this is the quiet driver behind this system. This is what keeps your agents grounded in reality. This is what gives you the when the handler's saying roll sand, roll sand, roll sand, roll sand, you're fucked, roll sand. It's these bonds that you guys as players come back to and say that, and this is why it bothers me because of this. And as you're doing this and as we're role playing, at least when I role play in this game, I pull from real, like all those scenarios that we rolled through earlier, like probably had a real world dialogue to me at some point. But yeah, what keeps your agent grounded? Bonds come up in scenarios in different ways, and I usually try to make sure that at least a bond, your character gets a scene with a bond in most games that Legend will run for you, unless the scenario calls for something specific. Getting a good scene with a bond and to ground you in that reality is pretty critical. And it's great role play. I love to play a spouse. Love to play a pissed off spouse, man.
So under like sample bonds, the two that stick out for mine would be like colleagues in intense job.
I think your audio cut out for me, Chris.
So he said colleagues in an intense job, and then what was the second one, Chris?
The second one, can you still hear me or no?
Yeah, we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay. The second one is survivors of a shared trauma, which would also be your teammates, just in a different aspect.
Could
Some
be.
of your teammates, maybe.
And then
So yeah, those are.
And then
Go ahead,
it's got on the character sheet on the right column of it, it's got a score. And I did see in here it does say that the score is equal to your charisma score.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
So what does a failed bond look like when you're doing this?
What does a failed bond look like? A failed bond is.
I guess the best way to ask this question would be, or ask this would be, can you go walk us through the process of how a bond is brought up in the game?
Yeah. How are we on time? What time we go to? We go in for another 30 minutes. Is that right?
Just about,
Or
yeah.
25? Okay.
Yeah.
How can a bond get so it's a great way to introduce your character, especially if you're playing a game where it's like a pretty contained to one or two sessions. Hey, introduce your character and with one of their bonds as they're going about their daily life. It's pretty standard when a handler opens up a scenario that, like you're about to get activated and get a dead drop to a secure meeting room in a government building where you're gonna meet with some shadowy U.S. government figures. There we go. I just summarized majority of deltagreen handler briefings. You can get creative with it. Handlers have a special knack for making the handler briefing their own. So it's a good place for characters to introduce their characters with a bond, right? Usually at that point in the game, it's not mechanically relevant. We're getting warmed up, filling out our characters. Where do they actually come into play? Because they do actually come into play. We were talking about sanity checks earlier. There's a couple different types of sanity checks. Well, there's all sorts of different kinds. But I'm gonna go and I'm gonna speak completely. I'm gonna use my own words here. You've got two big kinds of sanity rolls. You've got anything less than a 1d6 and anything more than a 1d6. When you roll sanity, if you roll more than 5 points of sanity damage in a single instance, which is pretty easy to do, you go into fight, flight, or submit mode. That's it. You lose more than 5 points in one chunk, you're mine. I now have your player agency. The narrative now has your player agency. How do you, as a player, keep that agency? Do it by it came up. You can and it doesn't have to be to a big sanity loss, but that's usually where you see it. You can at any point in time you can resist sanity damage by projecting it onto a bond. Lenny, let's take your doctor for example. This I'm trying to think of the first personal scenario that came to my mind wasn't the most appropriate. that nurse that got blood splatter on her cheek from that artery that you nicked,
Yes.
right? She has a bond with her husband, and and when you got that blood splatter on her cheek, it was she rolled there was a little bit of sanity damage to that, right? It's the slow, subtle burn of this idiot doctor that won't keep this blood off my face. Kind of a big deal, right? In a medical setting, just getting blood. The nurse is pissed. Dr. Jackson. We were talking to her husband. Dr. Jackson who taught him how to do surgery. I could do surgery better than him. Right? It's probably small, but she goes home and she vents about that to her husband. That's projecting sanity damage onto a bond at a small scale.
Mm.
Chris, did you fail our little scenario? Did you fail your sanity check? Right?
Yeah. By like 15 or
remind
something.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that case, you can say you failed your sanity check. Would you like to project, Chris? Legend or Tommy? Yes, I would like to project. You project onto a bond. Which bond would you like to project to? Tommy, I'd like to project the sanity loss onto my wife. All right. That paperwork that you filled out incorrectly that resulted in the loss of 20 innocent soldiers' lives. You're now going to go home and take that sanity damage out on your wife. But instead of taking max damage for it, 6 points, causing you to go into fight, flight, or freeze, now you only have to take 2 points of that damage. The remaining 4 deduct it from that bond score.
Got it. Okay. So if your bond score is small, then it can get taken away quick then. Because like my charisma is a 7. So
let me.
Oh wow. Mine's only a 10. We're not very charismatic.
So that was all in my own words. Out of the book, when your agent loses SAN, you can spend willpower to reduce the loss. That amount is always a D4. Mechanics, we can dive more into those next week. But the idea is you can cast this sanity damage off onto your bonds to kind of mitigate that loss. And anytime you do that, you're also saying to the table, when I check that box by my bond, you also owe the table a role-playing scene with that bond where you play out that damage.
Oh, this could get heavy because my pilot has 3 bonds. So I went spouse, co-pilot, and son.
Now, I will say that for one shots, they're great for role play flavor and for giving players something to anchor onto. For that, there's also like a resource management aspect of it there, also with your motivations.
Okay.
But I forget where I was going with that.
So could you then like say that you want, like, if you were to role play that, you'd say something like, oh, it's going to be somebody that like one of mine is like survivors of shared trauma of a bond, right? And so like we're literally going to go like down to the boxing gym and we're going to spar it out like to get this like anger, frustration out of our system. with that person.
If this were a deltagreen game, I would immediately start setting the scene of that gym. Right. Me and you would I'd take that and we'd start building that scene from scratch and going into that.
Sure. Okay.
I'd take what you just gave me and we'd run to the ends of the earth where you've got it, Chris.
You remember? Crystal says, "You remember a time when ...
Exactly.
Yep. All right. So after Bonds, are we done?
No.
Okay.
You're
What is
about
next?
done.
What is next?
What's next? So for the most part from here, we're almost getting into like cosmetics. Age, where did I go to college? Things like that. Let me get back up here to the right page with the cheat sheet of everything. The big thing from here is motivations. Again, motivations here, they have a hidden mechanic that, again, I love it, especially for campaign play. This game is brutal and it's gonna beat your players down, and you've got to have a way to replenish those resources. I run my sanity and my willpower and my health with my bonds into the dirt throughout this scenario. How do I recover that willpower and whatnot? So motivations when it comes to role playing and in role player games, I mean, everybody, have strong motivations because that's what drives your character. Again, that's true in just about any role playing game. But in deltagreen, you're allowed 5 motivations, and 5 motivations is a lot, especially for deltagreen. For the scenario that we're gonna play next week, you do not need 5 motivations. You can get by with 3 just fine. But you are permitted 5. When you role play into a motivation, there is a rule in the book that says you can get some san or willpower, depending on how evil of a handler that you have.
Okay.
This is big when you, especially like for like Debt and Blood, where we're playing a sustained campaign. It's hey, I played into my motivation. Cool, yeah. Award yourself 1d4 willpower, right? That's willpower that you drug through the mud by projecting all that sanity loss onto bonds because it costs willpower to project. You spend willpower to project onto a bond. I didn't hit on that. And it's playing into those motivations that allows you to replenish that. You're allowed up to 5. Deltagreen allows you 5 motivations to replenish your willpower with. And now we start getting. You guys remember when we talked about a breaking point earlier?
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
When your sanity hits your breaking point, bad things happen. One of the least severe consequences to hitting a breaking point is the fact that you lose a motivation, which could be anything from protecting my the group in which I share my trauma with from the unnatural. There we go. There's a motivation. Every time you hit a breaking point, you pick up a disorder. Every time you pick up a disorder, you lose a motivation. And disorders can be rather brutal, probably beyond the scope of the rest of our night here. But that's kind of how it all feeds into it, and it's like the life cycle of a deltagreen agent with some mechanical stuff in it, and again, how it all feeds into the mechanics and why I think this game is the potential for healing is there when played responsibly. Like any horror game, you can play it and not get the benefits of healing and recovery out of it. But when played right, I think there's just so much fun, so much healing, just so much drama, so much tension. It's got it all.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
in this sense, being it's a one shot and your character hasn't played before, then you would be choosing the other motivations, because it looks like there's a section here for like if your character has played. So you have this
Yeah.
like damaged veteran section that gives you
Mhm.
a bonus, I guess, to your motivations. Is
Yeah.
that the idea?
It
Hmm.
is, and
Okay.
you get into you remember when I was like, "Hey, you can't do more than 80% at character creation." You get into this damaged veteran thing, like that rule goes out the window.
Got it.
I mean, saying I want to play a damaged veteran, you're kind of skipping the playing through the madness, and I just want to play madness. And again, the rules, the mechanics, it's all there. It's all there to support it. You've got, extreme violence. You're a special operator, Chris. I'm probably me as a handler. My prerogative. Special operator. You're starting the game with having experienced extreme violence, most likely.
They're just big cuddly bears, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Awesome. All right,
We've
then.
got about 10 minutes left.
I was going to ask you if you wanted to give us a brief synopsis of the one shot we're going to be running next week.
Yeah, I can. I'd love to do that, Mike. Let me, I've got it pulled up here. So, the scenario that we're playing next week is, I alluded, I might have. It's called PX Poker Night. It is one of deltagreen's original scenarios. It was originally written back in as Call of Cthulhu. I've got two different source books. I've read them both. They're similar. One was written in 2002. One was written when did I say 2020? So about 18 years difference between the two scenarios. It takes place in 1998. So cell phones and stuff. It's a modern setting, but playing with some technical limitations.
Back when each text message cost you money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
remember that year.
the sky's the limit. This would be like, I guess, the player facing back text or front text. Sky's the limit. A dozen Air Force misfits and malcontents have gone from misconduct charges or stretches in the stockade to a post they can't even screw up. Welcome to Platt Air Force Base, a place where aircraft and careers go to die. The middle of nowhere, Nebraska.
Dutch Harbor?
Saturday is one night a week that everyone at Platt Air Force Base looks forward to. It's a chance to unwind. It started in the post exchange decades ago, back when Platt still belonged to the Army. The tradition still stands today. Saturday is PX Poker Night, baby. It's Saturday, 22 August 1998.
All right.
And I won't read anything else, just because we'll save that part for next week. But
Like it.
basically, you're gonna be playing a bunch of disgruntled Air Force service members, and it'll be amazing. 1998. No experience to deltagreen or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, again, it's that's always like a matter of fact. To Crystal mentioned an agent versus a friendly, which is good for lore and understanding that. Everybody has watched Harry Potter, right? Muggles assume deltagreen just wants to keep everybody in the dark, like muggles. And we've got our small group of this agency called deltagreen, which changes by the decade, depending on where you're at. And we know that the unnatural is real and will fuck you up. And we're here to keep that masquerade in place against everybody else. And that's the muggle population. And in the middle of this, you've got agents, and you've got the rest of the world, and then you've got this little pocket of people called deltagreen friendlies. A deltagreen friendly would be you're not an agent, but you've seen enough to maybe be strung along. And again, it kind of changes between heirs friendlies. In 1998, as it pertains to our setting, you don't really have to worry about agents or friendlies. We'll take the setting by lore. This particular setting comes from an era of deltagreen referred to as the conspiracy. This is the era of deltagreen that is most likened to the X-Files.
Okay.
To close this out, a lot of times deltagreen gets compared to the X-Files. What year was deltagreen created in? I wanna fact check something real quick. I wanna see something. I haven't checked this myself.
So it
We
said
talked about
that
it earlier.
92.
It
Started
said
in 92.
it started in 92, and the first official book was 97, and then there's another like portion where it became the group that it's known as now in 2004, I think it was.
It says it originated in 92, and then the Agent's Handbook was released in 2016.
Yeah. Because I grokked it earlier.
I got the
So-
Wikipedia up.
The X-Files was created by Chris Carter and premiered on the Fox network on September 10, 1993. Just want to throw that date out there. And when people compare deltagreen to X-Files, you might have it backwards.
Well,
Just
X-Files was running all the way up until like the early 2000s,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, and a lot of these early deltagreen scenarios get likened to those X-Files type scenarios. And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Vince Kaufman when we did Behind the Screen. But it's basically you really got that backwards, right? Like deltagreen actually inspired the X-Files, not the other way around.
It says
Did they actually inspire the X-Files? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I wasn't in those rooms, but it is a cool thing. deltagreen, and its X-Files days actually predates X-Files.
Yeah.
It says in 92, the scenario was called Convergence, and it
Convergence
came
is
from Pagan Publishing, the Unspeakable Oath fanzine for Call of Cthulhu. So like that's where I guess it got its inspiration.
Yeah, and in 2020 when they rewrote PX Poker Night, they also rewrote the scenario that you just mentioned, Convergence. Convergence actually takes place in a fictional city in Tennessee. They also rewrote another one called Puppet Shows and Shadow Plays that takes place in California, West Coast, I'm pretty sure. And this all kind of went into like their conspiracy package. It was like their 90s. This is their 90s era stuff, and it's one of my favorite deltagreen eras.
It's interesting too because it, like I guess the group, the Arc Dream Publishing, it says it began in 2016. So like I guess they shifted to a different publishing.
Yeah, so
group
Arc Dream, you mentioned Pagan Publishing, and then of course Call of Cthulhu is Chaosium. Arc Dream is currently who produces deltagreen, and they're actually launching a Kickstarter for a new game called Black Company. I'm super I've looked into it a little. It'll be great, I'm sure. But yeah, Arc Dream, that's Dennis Detweiler, Clancy, John Scott Tynes. Great stuff. And again, we're just scratching the surface. We're gonna get some actual gameplay in next week, and but it was amazing getting to dive into this tonight, and I hope to be able to do it justice next week because I've really talked it up tonight.
It's all right. Yeah, we get it. Before we wrap up, is there any final questions that anyone would like to ask in the chat, or Chris or Lenny, anything that's popping up in your minds that last minute?
I actually did. I don't know. Because I was thinking about like his background, the character's background and whatnot. Would aeronautics be considered a military science?
Ooh.
In the Air Force, I think it would. Right?
Well, exactly, right? So
okay.
So let's go here. No, so that's an excellent question. I went to go to the Agent's Handbook and I closed the Agent's Handbook.
Just when you thought you were done.
What was on it? Science, you said?
Military science. Yeah.
Military
It gives me I think because pilot gives me like 40 or 50% or something.
Yeah, so on page 34 of the Agent's Handbook, it talks about it breaks down all the skills and kind of gives the long text of it, right? So let's look at this. Knowledge, military science type. Typically, our big ones are military science land and military science sea.
Oh, okay.
But actually, I take that back. I'm gonna read the last sentence. The usual types are land, sea, and air. So, yeah. To answer your question, is yes, you could do that. Aeronautics would just be air. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's how I read it.
Yep.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right.
So yeah, as an Air Force, yeah, your military science type would be aeronautics.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions in chat.
I
Tommy,
wanted to at least ask one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what this is all about. Because you know what? Someone might have had that question that watches this at a later date. But Tommy, thank you for coming on and breaking this down for us and running us through the character creation.
Yeah,
I think I've got I'm not going to say I have a full handle on what we're going to be dealing with next week, but I got somewhat of a grasp of what's going to happen. So, thank you for breaking it all down for us. And
yeah, no, thank you for having me and giving me the platform to do it. You guys, I mean, always, this goes to YouTube after the fact, right?
It does, yes.
So it'll go out there. Anybody watching it live, anybody watching it in the future, if you're really good and watching it in the past, let me know your trick. But if you got questions, we've talked about the Discord server and the family that we're trying to build and Roll to Heal. If this conversation inspires questions, if something I said doesn't make sense, doesn't ring right, you want to talk about Chris's beard that isn't quite as epic as Mike's, that's fine. Like, join the Discord server, hop in that general chat, and come hang out with us. We're here, and I'm always ping me and ask me about deltagreen, and I won't shut up. You'll
And that's why I
regret it.
kept my camera off. I was way too jealous of those beards.
I think Mike added extensions today because it wasn't that long the other day.
You found me out. Darn. It's actually going to get shortened. It grew. The only reason I grew it this long was so my daughter could braid it. She braided it the other day. So now I get to trim it down. So I'm good. I got tired of sleeping with it like this.
Nice.
But yeah. No, I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to be fun. Thank you again, Tommy.
No problem at all.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. With that, Lenny, thank you so much for joining us. Chris, you as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to us playing next week, Lenny. This will be fun.
Oh, absolutely. I may be a little tired, but I will definitely be there.
Oh, yeah.
I look forward to watching it and putting lots of comments and stuff. and
there's gonna be. I picked this is a good scenario. Oh man, it's gonna be fun.
Right. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Like Tommy said, check us out on Facebook at Roll to Heal or our website www.rolltoheal.org. We've got the Discord invite on our website, on our YouTube, and on Facebook, so you can meet us and join us there. Now, with that, have a good night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next week for our one-shot.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.